So, as I've mentioned before, I'm a Guardians fan, and admittedly, this team has been spoiled by so much great starting pitching over the past decade or so. However, even though the Guards are having one of their best seasons in a long time right now, the thing that's been carrying them is their bullpen. They have many great pieces like Cade Smith, Tim Herron, and Hunter Gaddis, but the biggest headliner in the pen is the great Emmanuel Clase. As of the recording of this video, Clase currently has a 4-1 record with a league-leading 33 saves and a microscopic 0.7 ERA. And this has got me thinking, why is he not getting any Cy Young consideration? But then I realized that this is a thing relief pitchers have been dealing with for the past 20 years, and as great as Clase's been, voters are much more likely to choose someone who goes 6 to 7 innings a game rather than just 1. The last time a reliever won a Cy Young award was Eric Gagne in 2003, who went 2-3 with 55 saves and a 1.2 ERA, and today I want to give relievers the credit they deserve and count down the top 5 seasons since 2003 that a reliever could have won a Cy Young award. Going into this, I'm judging these seasons based on 3 things: how great they were individually, how much they contributed to their team's success, and how realistic their chances of winning the Cy Young were. And before I start the countdown, I want to go through some honorable mentions first. These seasons for the most part were relievers that had great years, but their Cy Young chances were long shots compared to the guys I'll be talking about in the list. They were 2012 Fernando Rodney, 2017 Kenley Jansen, 2006 Joe Nathan, 2006 Billy Wagner, 2008 Brad Lidge, 2005 Chad Cordero, 2011 Jose Valverde, and 2024 Emmanuel Clase. And yes, I know the season isn't done yet, but the Guardians fan in me had to include him in this list. But now let's get started. These are the top 5 relievers since 2003 who could have won a Cy Young award. Coming in at number 5, I have Craig Kimbrell in 2013. Kimbrell was coming into his age 25 season that year, and he was coming off back-to-back seasons of leading the NL in saves, and he won Rookie of the Year not too long ago as well. He picked up right where he left off in 2013, as he recorded 50 saves with a 4-3 record and a 1.21 ERA, continuing his stretch as one of the best relievers in all of baseball. Between the months of June, July, and August, he recorded a 0.25 ERA in 36 1/3 innings. He came in 4th in NL Cy Young voting that year, but that ballot was dominated by Clayton Kershaw as the lefty almost won unanimously, so Kimbrell essentially had no shot of winning the award. That aside, the righty played a huge role in helping the 96-win Braves win the NL East, and he put up a WAR of 3.1, which was tied for the highest by a relief pitcher in the NL. After the season, he continued to be an elite closer for the Braves before getting traded to the Padres right before opening day in 2015. Craig Kimbrell has had a potential Hall of Fame stretch as a closer since 2013, but nothing he's put up during that time has been able to match the numbers he put up that year. Next is Francisco Rodriguez's 2008 season, and by this point in his career, he'd already been well established as the Angels' closer, and he was coming off 3 straight seasons of 40 or more saves. His 2008 season ended up being one for the history books, as he helped the 100-win Angels save an MLB record 62 games that year. Sure, it's reasonable to think that Mike Scioscia could have been stat-padding his save opportunities, especially as it got late in the season. But personally, I don't see how a manager could stat-pad a closer's save opportunities if they're the ones always getting called on to pitch in the close game in the 9th. That Angels team just happened to be in a lot of close games in 2008, and that's why K-Rod got so many opportunities. Anyways, Rodriguez also had a 2-3 record with a 2.24 ERA and 2.5 WAR, finishing 3rd in Cy Young voting and 6th in AL MVP voting. He actually got a first-place MVP vote, and to my knowledge, is the most recent relief pitcher to receive one. After 2008, K-Rod would sign a 3-year deal with the Mets and would continue to pitch pretty well for a number of teams. But it goes without saying that he never came close to his 2008 totals again. The number 3 spot is the most recent season on this list, and it was Zach Britton's 2016 campaign. He had already been known as one of the better closers in baseball with the Orioles by then, but he took his game to a whole nother level in 2016. Britton would save 47 games, leading the AL in doing so, and he did this with a 2-1 record, 4.1 WAR, and a 0.54 ERA. That's right, He only gave up 4 earned runs on the season and only 1 home run. 1. Also, he didn't give up a run in the entire months of May, June, July, and September. Needless to say, he was unhittable that year, and it still remains a mystery as to why Buck Showalter used Ubaldo Jimenez instead of Britton as the game went into the 11th inning of the AL wildcard game. Sorry, Orioles fans. When it comes to awards, Zach finished 4th in AL Cy Young voting, and he actually won the 3rd most first place votes that year, and he finished 11th in AL MVP voting that year too. A couple years later, he'd get dealt to the Yankees and would spend a lot of his time as a nice setup man for Aroldis Chapman, but obviously he'd never reach the highs he reached with the O's in 2016 ever again. Going into this list, you guys know I had to include a Mariano season, and obviously there were so many to choose from. But I'm going with his 2005 season because this featured the lowest ERA he ever put up in a season, and he also finished with the highest percent share of AL Cy Young votes in his career this year. In 2005, he was smack in the middle of his prime and continuing his Hall of Fame career, as he ended up with a 7-4 record, 43 saves, and a 1.38 ERA. He also finished with exactly 4 WAR, which was the highest among all relievers in MLB that year. When it came to hardware, Mo finished 2nd in AL Cy Young voting, receiving 8 first place votes, and ended up 9th in AL MVP voting. To any Yankees fan, this was just another season of the team being very successful, and to me, his stretch during the mid-2000s was peak Mariano Rivera. This was the best season he put up among those that qualify for this list, and trust me, I had a really tough time deciding if this was going to be in the number 1 spot or not. But now that I put it like that, I should probably reveal what my number 1 pick is on this list. Oh yeah, I also couldn't have made this list without including Trevor Hoffman on it. What's funny is that his 1998 season was easily the pinnacle of his career, as he saved 53 games with a 148 during the Padres' pennant season and actually won the most first place votes for NL Cy Young. But since that season doesn't fit my criteria, I'm going with his 2006 season instead. Now, what stands out to me is that this was Trevor's age 38 season, and by this time, most players would be out of their prime and retired within a couple years. For Hoffman, however, he was still pitching as great as ever for the Padres, as he helped them win the NL West with a league-leading 46 saves and a 2.14 ERA, and set the then baseball record for saves on September 24th of that year. He also did this without actually recording a win and with a 2.1 WAR, which was top 5 for NL relievers. As great as Mariano's 2005 season was, the biggest reason I'm putting Trevor's 2006 season number 1 is that, while Bartolo Colon appeared to be the favorite for AL Cy Young in 2005, there was a serious race between Hoffman and Brandon Webb in 2006 for NL Cy Young. Webb ended up with 15 first-place votes, while Hoffman ended up with 12, and ever since Gagne's Cy Young winning campaign in 2003, this is the closest a relief pitcher has come to winning the award. He did it with a fastball that, by then, only ever topped mid-80s, and with one of the greatest changeups the game has ever seen. After this season, Hoffman would spend 2 more years in San Diego before going to Milwaukee for 2 years and calling it quits after the 2010 season. Despite all the injuries and setbacks he endured just to get to the majors, he turned into one of the best careers a closer has ever seen. In 2006 was the time he almost came out on top with a Cy Young award. As I said at the beginning of the video, the Cy Young award is the big thing that relief pitchers have been robbed of for over 20 years now, and it's a shame that none of the players in this video ever won it. Right now, Emmanuel Clase is really giving guys like Tariq Skubal and Corbin Burns a run for their money, but it's more than likely not going to be recognized the way it should because the Cy Young award has pretty much just become a starting pitcher's award at this point. That being said, I do think that someday we'll see closer get the recognition they deserve and break the trend of only starters winning a Cy Young, and I hope it happens soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys for my next baseball talk. Thank you.